Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Stuart Crawford, founder of Bison Ventures, as my guest. We're going to be learning about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices, and challenges that he's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to build and operate a business. Welcome, Stuart. So great to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Kay. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, before we dive into all things business, I'd love to share a bit about yourself. So take us back as far as you like and share a bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try and do it quick. I'm originally from Texas and New Mexico. So born in San Antonio, moved to New Mexico when I was about 10. So kind of grew up in both places. Went to Arizona State University. So I moved to Arizona for that and never left. So I've been an Arizona native for a long time. Married to an amazing wife, my best friend. We've got three great kids. I've got a 12-year-old son, Colton. My daughter, Ava, is 10. And my youngest son, Hank the Tank, we call him, is 7. We got two white labs, Moose and Bear. So never a dull moment in the Crawford house, that's for sure.
Hank the Tank. I love that. Oh, that sounds like a great life. I'm so excited to dive into this conversation. Okay, so tell us a bit about Bison Ventures. Like, okay, how did it get started? Did you start it and like well you founded it? How and when did that get started?
That's a good question. Here's the fastest version I can give you. For some reason, I always have long stories. I've been in the mortgage business my whole career. So when I graduated ASU, got in the mortgage business, so it's all I've ever known. And about right a few years before COVID, I just kind of had that pilot flame, I call it, where I just had a burning desire to maybe do something different, maybe take a chance. And I'd worked at another company for a long, long time. And do I try this on my own? Do I actually try to stand one of these up on my own? And had a great business partner at the time, who's one of my greatest friends now. And then one of my best friends I grew up with in New Mexico, went to high school with my wife and I, was in a totally different industry, finance related, for a big corporate company for about 20 years, really successful. And we'd go on family trips and talk about what if we started a business one day, but we never really went past that. And kind of a moment happened in the first summer of COVID. I was the quintessential family that rented an RV and said, everybody get in an RV, we're going on a trip. So we, went on this awesome road trip and met up with my good friend that I grew up with there. And we just kind of had a moment. And I said, look, we're not getting any younger. And if we're ever actually going to do something, it's now or never. So let's either really talk about it or stop talking about it. Shockingly, he took the bait and said, okay, let's do it. And my heart sank and I went, oh my God, what did I just do? And fast forward, he uprooted his family from California. And then he, myself, and my other partner joined forces, and we all founded Bison Ventures together, and we opened our doors on March 1st, 2022. So for anybody out there that doesn't follow the mortgage industry or the economy in terms of interest rates, we literally opened up a mortgage company on the worst day you could possibly pick, because right after that, interest rates started their trajectory upwards. And that was a whole nother part of the story we'll probably get into at some point. So
Yes, yes, definitely. Wow. Okay, so there's three partners involved currently in the company.
correct.
Um, do you have any other employees that you're working with currently?
Yeah, we've got approximately 35 employees.
Nice. Okay. Great. Okay. So now let's talk about your ideal client. Uh, Actually, let's back it up. Before we get into clients, let's talk about your role in the company and then your partner's roles, because I'm sure you bring all different skill sets to the table. So what does your day-to-day look like in the company?
That's a great question that, sometimes I'm trying to figure out the best way to answer. The way the partnership is divided up is I'm the CEO. My other partner, Jeremy, is our COO, CFO, and then Ryan is our CDO, our Chief Development Officer. So one of the tough parts about running a business, especially in the beginning, is kind of figuring out what are your executive swim lanes, who's going to wear what hat, excuse me, where does the
Mhm.
buck stop with who on what, and that's its own journey, right? But my day to day is not consistent. It's I try to get it consistent, and that's part of my journey of trying to be the best leader I can. But I I like to be boots on the ground, Kay. So I like to be in the foxhole with my people, know what's going on, be there for decision making, be there to help problem solve. So there's a lot of I do a lot of problem solving and just helping figure out what happened here. Let's move it faster. How do we get more efficient? And then I also do as much as I can with growth and relationship building. So I'm constantly trying to do my best to get myself out there, meet new people, grow my network, talk about my company, and just simply see, what opportunities exist out there that would help my company and help the people I'm talking to.
Oh, definitely. So you have a strong role as like the face of the company, you would say.
100% correct. And I
Amazing.
know it's not the best. My partners are better looking than me, so I shouldn't have that role. But yes, I am. I think they would agree. I'm the voice and the kind of the front man of the company. And of the three of us, I have the longest mortgage experience based on just doing this since I was so young. So just all those things combined, it's the right role for me. And I'm a major people person, so it fits me well. Working on things like culture and just trying to connect with people.
Oh, that's incredible. Yes. And so how are you finding harmony? I like the word harmony rather than balance. How do you find the harmony between that, front-facing role and then also, building in the business?
That's a really good question, and I like that word too. I'm going to steal that. Yeah, I mean, it's like when you ask me about my day, right? There's days where it's more heavy on me jumping on grenades, I call it, right? And I think I love damage control. I think there's something wrong with me, but I always have. Right? I love problem solving, and like if something comes up, just bring it to me. I'll try my best to fix it. Um, but I think finding the harmony is really just about as a leader, you have to take time for yourself, not be staring at your emails, not be looking at, the text messages coming up on your phone. And you really got to just focus on what do I need to do today? What do I need to do this week? Or just get your mental headspace so you can just take a deep breath and say, everything's fine, right? Yeah, I just jumped on 5 grenades, but look at the 30,000 foot view. Everything is fine. These are just day-to-day things that happen. And I think it's stress mitigation is what I'm trying to get at. You really have to give yourself perspective and look through the right lens, because I feel like with my experience in business, I see so many people, and I've done it too, where if you're looking through the incorrect lens constantly, you're not seeing the bigger picture. And when you elevate yourself out of that, it's a kind of a calming moment where you can say, okay, yes, we have this small battle on the battlefield, but overall we're winning this war, right? So
Oh, wow. You and I have similarities. I call them stomping on Goombas, like Mario reference. The same thing. And I like have a knack for it. So it's like that's a really key thing in business to have someone who has those abilities to be like that front facing. It's like, okay, what do we got today? How do we conquer it? And which actually leads me perfectly into my next question, which is challenges. As we all know, being a business owner comes with a lot of, stomping on the grenades. So what are some of the challenges you're faced with in the company right now that you're currently working through?
boy, that's another good question. I mean, challenges that stick, I would say the number one challenge that sticks out is growth, right? Which is not necessarily a in the business issue, but just, growing a company is very tough. And in my business, there's only a few ways to do that. It's either the market cycles in your favor, which, right now it's moderately in our favor, or it's out there and growing your footprint and building as many relationships as you can, bringing people onto your team that can help you grow it. And that's that. If you've talked to anybody who has that role, it's hard, right? I mean, it takes time to build a good relationship to, I hate to use the word convince because it sounds like you're being a salesman, but to really convince Kay that, hey, this really is a great place for you to be. I'm not saying where you're currently at isn't great, but, and just getting through that process, it doesn't happen overnight. So, and that's a big challenge, I think, for anybody trying to grow a business.
Oh my gosh, definitely. So let's dive in a little deeper on that. Is there a certain area, maybe like is it time management or team, or do you want to grow your employees, or is it even just like financially? What's kind of your main thing that you're challenged with growth right now?
I would say, we want to help as many people as we can. If you back it up, one of the main reasons for starting this company, it was never financial. And I realized some people are going to hear that and be like, that's not true, but it really wasn't. We had three reasons why we started the company, and economics was not in there. And we want to build a platform where people can plug in as far as loan officers, people that, originate mortgages, and we can show them how to have harmony. I call it life balance, your words better. But I've been in that role, right? I was a loan originator and scaled a fairly big team over the course of my production career. And I know the trial and error. I know the things that are difficult. I know where you have to let go. And so I feel like we can empower people to show them. And I didn't have life balance, Kay. And I started having kids, and I'm like, I am always on my cell phone. This is not going to work, right? I want to go to my kids' soccer games or whatever it is. So that's a big piece of our culture, is showing people that you can actually do more by doing less, but there's a way you have to have, but time management is key, right? You have to live and die by your calendar. You have to control the narrative, because where I see people fail is they just let all the emotions that come in from the exterior walls, whether it's clients or partners or referral sources, they feed into that constantly. It's like, you cannot do that. They are coming to you because you're the professional and they trust you. And so don't be scared to kind of stand your ground and be strong and be like, this is how it's going to go, right? And I know that's hard. It's hard for all of us to do. I don't even know if I just answered your question. I just started rambling, but
it really did, because that shows, when you think about, like, we have to take agency over our domain if we're creating something and people are expecting, they're like, you are the leader here. It's like we have to step into this like new kind of like elevated mindset of, it almost has to, it has to like overpower the fear that we have as business owners to see beyond that. Like, you just kind of have to step up there into this agency realm and see beyond the fear, to step and be like, okay, we have to take this next step. So yeah, that actually leads me perfectly back into the question I was going to ask earlier about, like, who is your ideal client? Because, you talked about that client relationship. So who is your ideal client? Like, if I walked into your doors or checked you out online, how would I know I'd be a great fit for you?
that's an easy one to answer. We only do right now residential mortgages. So anybody that owns a home or wants to buy a home is an ideal client for us, right? I mean, it's literally that simple. If I were to give you like who's my personal perfect, right? I love people that need hand holding, that really want to be educated, that really want a thorough process, because that's something I'm passionate about. And I also understand that the world is changing, right? It's evolving, and not everybody wants that long, thorough phone call, all the questions. They don't want to go through all of that, and that's okay. But we have to make sure as a company that we still are offering that to people, because the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. And there's so many times we'll have someone who wants to just do the click a button, get it now, which is fine. We can do that. But then once we start giving them more information, it's like all the questions come up, right? And it's like, we've always told our team, have the heart of a teacher, right? That is your job.
Yeah.
Help these people, give them more education than they ask for. And at the end of the day, our job is to make the client comfortable and not have any more questions and feel good about the decisions they're about to make.
Definitely. I love that. That's really great. It's like almost like the spa service. You're like really, really with your client the whole step of the way in the
100%.
journey. Okay, so let's kind of move into goals for the company. So where do you see the company going, say, in the next three to 5 years?
Another good question, Kay. And this, I may get ostracized for this answer, but I've never been a huge, this is what I want to get in 3 years, and let's go do that. It's not, doesn't mean I'm not thinking it, of course. I'm thinking about the growth of the company, where, what's our dream world? Where do we want it to be? Or what's maybe more reality? I've always been more of a, what are our strategic objectives for the next 90 to 180 days? And I
Okay.
know those are going to get us to what we're trying to accomplish. And let's just laser focus on those every single day. And then that should hopefully move the needle. And the reason I think like that is, I can remember being in my production career, and it was always like, beginning of year goal setting, how much money do you want to make? And then you do the backwards cowboy math, and then you got to make this many phone calls to convert this many people to it's typical sales, right? And those are good exercises you have to do. But I was just always like, I'm just going to put my head down and take care of as many people as I can, figure out how to talk to as many people as I can, do a great job. And all of those things should end up happening and equaling the same desired outcome, right? So, but
Mhm.
if I had to directly answer your question, in 3 years, my hope is our company is triple, quadruple the size in terms of the amount of transactions we're doing. So that doesn't mean people. I'm not saying I want to go have 500 employees, and if that were to happen someday, and we could keep our culture, fantastic. But I know that's difficult to do. So for me, it's just the more transactions and production we do, the more opportunity as a company we can do things for the people that work with us. So what's interesting is when you ask me who's your ideal client, well, I answered outside the walls, right? The client that needs our product or service. But really, in my heart, my client are the people. My clients are the people at Bison who have taken a risk to put their reputation and family into our hands, and those are the people that if I can take care of them, then the external people are going to be taken care of.
Oh, definitely. And so how are you finding these clients? Like you want to maximize in that area and grow your revenue, grow your clients. How are you finding them? How are you marketing? Are you like word of mouth or are you heavily on LinkedIn? What's that look like for you?
Yeah. We're very organic. We do marketing, and over my career, I've done what I think is every marketing thing you could do, right? Whether it's a magazine or everything under the sun. And I just always found that, and I know it's sort of like the cliche answer, but it's true. It's relationship building, and it is organic, and it is word of mouth, and that's how we grew our prior production group before we started Bison. And it's very much a lot of the same. Of course, now with technology and some of the things that are coming out, we do have a whole marketing platform and things that we are doing. Try to have a big social media presence, which by the way is not my thing. I'm not the expert in that, but I have people. My partner Ryan's fantastic at it, and it's very important to have.
Mhm.
I'm just now, admittedly, in the last 6 months, starting my LinkedIn journey based on some consulting and advice I've received in growing the company, and that, frankly, it's actually been fun to do. So I guess it's a little bit of everything, but at the end of the day, it's how many people can we meet? How many people can we make a real connection with? Find a commonality, and then it just trees from there.
Definitely. The organic growth is something to think about, especially with your industry, because it's a very people oriented industry. Like you're working, really, it's like it's a people business.
It is.
Hmm. Okay, so now like let's get into the rapid fire. I think we're time for some rapid fire. This has been such an enriching conversation. So I'm going to ask you 4 questions and you answer very top of mind. So are you ready for some rapid fire?
I think so. Let's do it.
All right, question number 1. What is the key to success for you?
People.
Yes, I love that. Question number 2. What is a piece of advice you would have for other business owners?
Let go. You just let go. What got you here won't necessarily get you there, and you have to constantly be thinking about is how do we make it better, and you just have to let go of the way you might think things should always happen.
Hmm.
I just think keep jumping off cliffs, keep jumping off the proverbial cliffs. You'll find out things will be fine, and you're going to learn a lot way faster.
Definitely. Love that. Next one is what is a piece of content that's resonated with you most recently? It could be a book, a podcast, an article, anything.
Yeah, semi-recently read a book called The Rise of Superman. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a phenomenal book. And basically, the genesis of it is it talks about getting into the zone, which in the book he calls the flow state, right? So, like, he analogies with athletes and extreme skiers, like, what is their brain like when they're just in that moment of like everything else is gone and they're laser focused on this and they're crushing it, right? And it's a great book.
Ooh, I'm gonna piggyback off that. Stephen Kotler's work is very much in the above the flow state. He studies surfers that surf those like giant 60-foot waves or
Yeah,
whatever they are. It's very similar, that kind of like laser focus, getting and how to tap into that and the understanding like the 4 aspects of flow. There's like peak flow, but then there's also like that where you feel like you're kind of stumbling and fumbling, but that's actually part of it. That's a whole nother conversation we could have.
Yeah, that's a fun
But
one.
it's flow state is very intriguing to me as well. Fourth question is, and take your time on this one actually. If I gave you a magic wand and you could rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Growth, simple. Just
Growth.
you and I would say just production transactions. So you have to understand, the housing industry. I've been doing this over 20 years, and this last 4 years, we'll call it, has probably been one of the slowest, most difficult cycles I've ever seen. And anyone in my business, would agree with that if they've been around long enough. And so, it's just keeping people inspired, making them understand like you've got to keep planting seeds every day. The rain is going to come, and make sure when the rain comes, you look out on your farm and you've got a bunch of trees growing. Because if you give up now, so there, it's because transactions fuel everything else, right? It fuels people's mood, right? They're feeling better. I mean, I love it when we have super busy days and everybody is clicking on all cylinders, and it's just like I said earlier, we're all in the foxhole just battling together. Like, that's fun for me, and I think it gives everybody energy. When things are slower, as we all know, it's like the energy can come down. So I'm looking for transactions to grow, but it's because I want to feed the company with energy, because I know if all of us are on all cylinders with high energy, it's like who knows what we can go accomplish and what we can do, not just in our bison lives, but in our personal lives too.
Oh, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. So thank you for sharing that. Before we get to our final question of the day, let's help feed that growth. How can people connect with you and your company online?
Simple. You can reach out to me directly. My email is scrawford at bisonventures.com. And I'll just give you my cell phone. I'm not scared. 602-710-8975. You can reach out to me, anytime. And then our company website's simple, bisonventures.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Our final question of the day is, what is most inspiring to you today?
Family, family and people. I mean, just this morning, my daughter made me laugh, and, she's 10 and she told me, have a great day. And like, I have those moments a lot in my household because I've got three little kids, and I can't help but just for a split second think, I'm always thinking like, you've got to go get it and go get after it and make sure that you make this win for everybody, because the last thing I want to do is let my family down.
Oh, that's incredible. And 10 is such a fun age. It's like before
Oh
the
yeah.
crazy teen years, but they're like they're older kids.
Yeah, they still think I'm cool, so like it's not going to last that long, but I'm milking it as long as I can.
When they always come back too. Like later, a little later, like give them a couple years in college and they'll be like, yeah, dad's pretty cool.
I hope they remember how cool I am. If not, I'm
Yeah.
cutting them off.
Well, Stuart, this has been such a fun conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your business journey with me today.
You're welcome, Kay. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. And if I can ever do anything for you, let me know.